The Mud Peddlers, a podcast where two nerdy ceramic artists share the behind the scenes of their worlds of clay. We're your hosts, Lindsey M Dillon.
And I am Donte of Earth Nation.
Today on The Mud Peddlers, we have a very special guest who I am excited to introduce. Aaron Navarro, meet The Mud Peddlers.
Hey guys, it's kind of weird. I wanted to say that I've always wanted to be on this podcast.
Oh.
So first of all, I believe it or not, I actually knew about Donte before I knew about you.
Yes.
I don't know. Is that?
Yeah, I think I was funny as I was preparing questions last night. I was like, how did we actually meet? Because I couldn't remember if it was through Donte or if if we had met separately and then saw Donte
He walked
together.
up to us.
Okay,
So
He came
yeah.
up to us.
We actually met separately. So
Oh,
believe it or
okay.
not, so I knew about Donte before I knew about you. And
Okay.
this is and I know one of your questions is about how did I get into ceramics?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
What's funny is you actually used to work for the person that I learned from.
Really? Wait.
Yeah.
From the
Ooh.
person? So
Yeah.
you worked for a potter and you might not have known it.
You
Well,
remember
yeah.
remember Lisa from my studio?
Lisa.
Downtown,
Lisa.
off at-
Oh my
Yeah,
God,
yeah.
Lisa!
Yeah.
Yes! Oh my gosh! My God, that is a blast from the past. Yes,
Yeah.
that was for our listeners. This was a ceramic studio that was in downtown Sacramento, called My Studio.
I
And it
remember that
was-
place.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
it gone now?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, it's been gone for a while, but I think I worked there for maybe 3 months or something
It's
like
been
that.
gone for 7 years now.
Something like that.
What happened to it?
I don't know exactly, but I think it just wasn't making enough money.
That's
And
fair.
So they had to close.
Yeah.
That happens when you don't go to your studio and support them enough.
Yeah. Support
Guys.
those local studios. Do we meet at my studio then?
No, okay, so I think you were gone by then.
Okay,
I think you were
okay.
actually already out of the studio by then. And you had been working for Chocolate Fish or Insight or something at the time.
Yeah.
But I went there and everybody loves this. I went for what's called a ghost night.
Oh, bless! I can see where this is going. Do carry on.
I hate it already! I hate it!
Oh my god, I hate that movie so much now.
We all...
You know what? I unrepentingly... Wait, hold on. That's gonna sound weird.
Lindsey has to pee real quick.
I do. I'm sorry. I'm just on the table right now, just peeing.
You drank the whole thing first?
Did. I needed the coffee, bro. I'm on 4
Oh, so now
hours of
it was
sleep.
coffee, now it's tea.
Now it's
Well,
tea.
I
Yeah.
thought that you drank a whole thing of tea and you're on your second thing of tea.
I mean, that'll be me soon.
Yeah, true.
No, anyway,
That'll be me later.
yeah.
Cup of coffee later.
Just so you peeing on the table or no? Yeah.
I'll probably pee on the table later.
Yeah, that's how it sounds.
Depends on if I go to the brewery or not.
Oh, yeah, definitely gotta go to the brewery. Yeah. I unrepentantly love Ghost, but that's a brawl for another day. I can see Donte about to fight me.
I make it awkward whenever someone's like, you watch the movie Ghost? I just pretend I don't know. I'm like, whoa, no, what's that?
Oh my God.
I just act stupid, and then once they explain it, because if you explain it without context of the actual movie itself, it sounds like you're watching two people about to have intercourse around a ghost while pottery is around. So I'm always like, wait, hold on, so you were watching some porn, and they just happen to have pottery in the background,
Yeah.
and that's the part you took away from it. And they're like, no, and I'm like, it sounds like you were watching ghost porn, and you
Oh my
there's
God.
pottery somewhere in the background, and that's the part you took away from it.
You know what? I think
No.
we need to make this category on Pornhub now. That's just
Ghost-
where
ghost
this,
pottery?
Ghost pottery, yeah. Undoubtedly.
Just people in see-through effing.
I mean, I've got the hair for Demi Moore. I got
no.
this. We just need
But I bet
yes.
you it already exists.
Yeah, undoubtedly.
I bet you it does.
Yeah. So, okay, so sorry.
so, yeah,
You're going to
so-
a ghost night.
Oh my
We'll
God.
get through this eventually. We'll get
So-
all the questions
So off the
eventually.
ghost porn, guys.
Yeah.
People ask me all the time.
Yeah.
And I will say I hate that movie so much now. My sister used to watch when I was younger. And I'm like, this is an alright movie. It's got Patrick Swayze in it.
Yeah.
Then I get older and I do pottery and I'm like, I fucking hate Ghosts. I hate that movie so much. Like, why do you ask me if I do pottery on Ghosts? If
Yeah.
I was Demi Moore, I'd be pissed off.
Yeah, right? Like the big old cylinder and then he just wrecks it.
I don't believe it. She threw the...
No,
No, I don't think so
undoubtedly
either.
Like a
not.
professional potter came in, threw like a 10-inch cylinder and was like, There you go. Because as she was touching it, I was like, "You're not doing it right. How'd you throw that cylinder?"
These are the big questions.
There's no
These
way.
are the big questions.
Put on an apron and sit down in the potter's wheel.
Yep, pretty much.
All you got to do.
We gotta find the Potter's name in the credits who actually threw that for the movie, because undoubtedly it's in there somewhere.
Did you know the Lord of the Rings pottery is one dude who made all the Lord of the Rings pottery?
Bless.
I believe it.
He's
awesome.
I believe it.
And I looked him up the other day. He's not as famous as he should be, to be honest. Mm-hmm. But it's all his work.
So Ghost Night. So we did some pottery there, and this was with a really old girlfriend that I had back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went there. We did some pottery, did some pieces, and then I took some classes from her. And it was at night, and I'd always come in. And you know Matt Roper, right?
Matt Roper, I think so.
I think he knows you through somebody. But anyways,
I'm really terrible with names, so I probably would recognize him. But
he's like an artist. He's a 2D artist.
Okay.
So anyways, I knew him. I've known him a long time, since my childhood. But he used to go there, and he kind of told me about the studio. And I went in and started doing pottery, and then the studio closed down. I don't know, 5 months later.
And that was your first time
sad.
getting into ceramics?
Doing ceramics.
Oh,
So
okay.
I am obsessed with ceramics.
Ooh, yeah, let's hear it. What's your?
I'm ashamed to say I'm so obsessed with ceramics.
I mean, you're in the best company for making that statement.
Yeah, we're not gonna shame you for it. We're not gonna.
Yeah.
So
For our listeners, why don't you tell us who are you and what is Dirty Panda Ceramics? Because Dirty Panda Ceramics is your Instagram handle. So why don't you what's your elevator pitch for that?
Okay, so yeah, I'm Aaron Navarro. I am at this point in time I'm one half of Dirty Panda Ceramic Studio. Mm-hmm. My soon-to-be wife she helps me with a lot of my work, which really cuts down on my time to make stuff.
Nice.
But I basically I'm a dog lover. I'm a horror enthusiast. I watch anime, not as much as I should these days.
That's the perpetual.
Yeah.
The perpetual thing. There's always more anime.
You always love it, but it gets less and less as you get older.
Well, the seasons get less and less good.
Yeah, that's a take, and it's true though.
Yeah.
It's true though. I'm waiting for anime that used to be good to come out with new seasons because the new anime is so not my type. I'm not even gonna say it's not good. It's just not my type anymore.
Okay, but
that's
this season is really good though. I will tell you, this season is fantastic.
I'm into My Hero Academia. As bad as it is, people say it's
It's good. It's
shonen.
fantastic.
I love it.
I love it.
I know it's very male geared. You know what I mean? It's very fighting and brotherhood. Basically, this guy worship a Superman, but in Japan. I get it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's still good though.
I
mean,
like it.
I low key have to turn off my feminist brain half the time when I watch anime. Cause,
But see, isn't
Yeah.
it? But it's all male driven though. All
Yeah.
anime is. I mean, unfortunately, when
it's
you got
from
all
Japan.
these fighting robots and stuff, they're all women in scantily clad battle armor, and
yeah.
it's
they're still badass. But
Yeah.
the worst
wanna
part
be
is the
there.
consumerism for me because it's like I don't agree with it, but I am still watching it.
Yeah.
You know, people who are like, oh, I hate Amazon. You got a Prime account? Yeah, I have a Prime account.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's so true. It's so true.
The consumerism is what keeps it alive.
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's good stuff. It's good for creativeness. That's what it's good
This is
for.
true.
It's,
This is true.
It's anime.
Yeah. So you're a fan of anime, a horror fan.
I am. I loved H.P. Lovecraft my entire life. Honestly, I sound like I'm making a Tinder profile or something for pottery.
I know. I mean, that's kind of what talking about yourself with ceramics feels like half the time. Is with the artist statements. Is okay, I gotta.
Right.
You know.
Let me dial this back a little bit.
Yeah. No, you're good. You're good.
So yeah, my studio name. I have wanted a studio. I don't know. I wanted Panda Ceramics or something. But then, since I knew about Donte and his whole dirty potters, I was like, oh man, how can I make this a cool ceramic studio about throwing pottery and people know that it's not super clean. So I came out with Dirty Panda. I have a small
love
obsession
that.
with pandas.
Oh.
I was going to ask what the panda thing is about.
So I got to meet one in China. Really super crazy.
Take him out to lunch?
He was already eating lunch by the time.
Oh, that's
okay.
He stood me up. I got there and he was already eating.
Disappoint. You know what? The panda missed out. The panda missed out.
Didn't pay any attention to me the entire meal.
Oh.
It was the worst date I ever had.
Oh man. Well, you know what? You got a good story out of it. That's for sure.
I did. So I met him in China. I'm sorry. I met a panda. And I got to touch him and hug him, and it was really cool. I've always been obsessed with them. But then I realized now my studio, Dirty Panda Ceramics, my roommate was like, "Hey, dirty Panda ceramics." Are like, "Why is that DP ceramics?"
Oh my god, I love that. I love that so much.
Of course you do.
Yes, of course I do.
Of course you do.
I'm the full-blown degenerate on this podcast, I think. So
Oh my god.
Yeah.
maybe we all are actually.
And believe it or not, I have had the roller coaster of comments about that. So I don't know if did you know Susan from my studio, Susan Nakamoto?
His name sounds really familiar.
Yeah, that name
but-
does sound familiar to me too.
So
Yeah.
she used to be at my studio too, and oh my god, like nicest person in the world, has the dirtiest mind in the world ever.
That's amazing.
She's like, "Oh, I like your studio name." She's like, "Dirty Panda, DP Ceramics, huh?" She's like, "You should totally like venture out into the adult market."
Oh my god. Well, when you start your OnlyFans, that'll be your
Right? The Dirty Panda Ceramics OnlyFans.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
DP OnlyFans.
DP OnlyFans. I love that. I love that so much.
Oh man.
So how would you describe your style to someone who has never seen your artwork before?
Man, sculpting. I mean, I guess it's just sculpting mainly. I used to do. I don't know if you're familiar with Warhammer.
Oh yeah.
I used to be obsessed with painting Warhammer miniatures, and so I have always liked the 3D sculpture. And I can't draw to save my life, so
You're in good company there. I can.
yeah. Well, you can draw better than I can, so
Lindsey can
seen
draw
the
pretty
sketches.
well.
I've seen the sketches, yeah.
Yeah.
I get by.
So it's mostly 3D stuff.
But functional on or 3D sculptural with on your functional work,
Yeah,
because you
yeah.
primarily make mugs, as far as I understand, right?
Yeah, so I actually, oddest thing, so when I knew about Donte, a lot of his stuff, he started out with the most craziest shit you could ever come up with, which is like yarn bowls and stuff that's like,
Yeah.
oh, this is an advanced potter technique.
If it was functional and it was difficult to do, I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
They made it very clear to me that these are the difficult things to make even for advanced potters, like salt shakers and gourds not attached. You make gourds and you attach them.
Oh, yeah,
Instead of just
yeah.
throwing, I was like, I'm not attaching shit. I'm just gonna throw it in one. I'm not doing that. And then
Yeah.
that was hard. And then you're right though. Yeah, I was like, if it's hard, I want to do it.
Hey.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna have to mark this episode explicit.
Well, you know what gourds look like. I'm just saying.
absolutely.
Gourds are a nice shape.
My dude, I'm so glad you're here right now. I'm so happy. This is amazing.
But yeah, so I saw Dante's work and I was into let's make some hard shit
Yeah.
in the beginning. So I started with yarn bowls, the most frustrating thing ever. I broke so many.
It's about the heat.
It's
about the heat.
and the level of dryness.
Yeah, level of dryness, heat, the curve you put in there. I started firing mine upside down, not the glaze, the bisque.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Because then, it wouldn't warp. It would just stay on the bottom level. So when I made a yarn bowl, the part that would warp is just grounded.
Yeah.
So it doesn't move. And that was
okay.
half the battle,
Okay,
I'd
that
still
makes
throw
sense.
out one every batch. Too thin, bad.
No,
Too
yeah.
thick, heavy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always had that. It's that thin line between thickness and thinness.
Yeah. I'm throwing more thick these days because a lot of my work is not like it's easier to break, it just doesn't feel as present in your hands.
Okay.
It feels like I'm holding a feather because I've been trained to throw so damn light.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But I want my stuff to have weight to it as if you're holding something of substance. So I'm throwing a quarter of a pound heavier these days.
yeah.
Okay.
For
Yeah.
that reason.
So you were trained to throw pretty light then?
Well, I think Yoshio knew that it was a battle of I'm gonna teach you how to throw, and then he's like, okay, well use this crappy clay, and then you get the good clay, and then that recycles back into okay, you're gonna throw heavy for a while, and I'm gonna teach you how to throw thin. So he made it something to aim for. So by the time I left him, I was like, throwing thin is the sign of a good expert potter. Throwing thin and porcelain. But now that I talk to him, he's like, are you done with your thin phase? And I'm like, wait, what? That's not a standard? And he's like, no, it's not a standard. You learn your own thickness throughout time. It's personal, but you have to go through the gambit of learning how to do the scale of thick to thin before you can find the middle ground of what you like.
Yeah.
So now I'm finally there.
That makes sense because I wouldn't say I'm in my thin phase, but I dislike throwing heavy pieces. So I found this medium between thin and heavy pieces to where it's light enough it feels like you're holding a cup, but then it's not so heavy that you feel like oh God, I'm holding a weight. Like I'm going to do
Yeah.
some curls or something.
Yeah. How have you like navigated that with the sculptural pieces? Because I know that's something like when I make my Dragon Egg mugs, I have a hard time keeping them light because you're like adding so much more on top of the base mug.
Yeah, it's like a double layer for her.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask you about that because I've always wondered about how do you keep it light, because I've tried to find this meat in between, and I've seen
Yeah.
your mugs and I know they're a lot of work. There's a lot of clay that goes into it.
Yeah, well, I started using paper clay as the scales. So the
okay.
the base mug is B mixed with grog, but then I use the B mixed with grog paper clay for the scales, and that really helps cut down on the weight. Like I think that probably takes like, I haven't weighed it, but my guess would be like half a pound. It's a surprising amount different, but it's still like they're still kind of chunky boys. So
It's also a visual aspect, because if something look like her dragon mugs look very normal, but I've made something that looks heavy and it's light before, and I hate it. I hate it so much because my brain doesn't like the fact that, or like if you make a tiny little teacup and it's like 3 pounds, but
Yeah.
all the clay is compacted into the walls, your brain's like, why?
Why is it so heavy?
Why is it so heavy? It's only like a 4-inch teacup.
yeah.
I'm oddly obsessed with making my mugs light. So when I throw them, I actually throw them in anticipation of adding stuff to it. I will throw them lighter than normal.
Yeah.
I will thin
yeah.
the walls out a lot more. So much more that I have ruined so many pieces on the wheel.
Yeah. They'll
Yep.
warp in the bottom a little if you push too hard and stuff.
Oh
yeah.
my god!
Oh,
and then
yeah.
you trim through the bottom, and you're like,
Oh,
okay,
God.
I'm done. I'm done for the day.
Yeah, once
Yep.
once I destroy a mug, I'm like, I'm done.
Yeah.
You know, like in D&D terms, you have like your craft check.
Oh yeah.
I like to imagine most things that you make, you can just like take a 10. We can all make bowls. We can all make
Yeah.
cups.
Yeah.
We can all make like cylinders at this point. But when I make a gourd, it takes like a 15.
Oh yeah, for like the DC difficulty check.
So I
yeah.
have to roll for that. And if
Yeah.
I have like a plus 10, I'm like, well, I have to be at least at a 5.
Yeah.
In order to add that
Oh
together
my
to make
Lord.
something. Plates take a 2. You know, you just smush your fist down.
So what I'm
Right.
hearing is that we need to have a D&D pottery mini game that we
Ooh.
create. That's what I'm hearing right now.
What if you just fail all your checks?
Oh,
like,
well then
It was a bad month for you. You made 100 mugs, but you only produced 50?
Can you imagine if you just rolled the dice before you started pottery? Like, oh, I got a 16. Okay, I guess I'm gonna do okay with most of my stuff.
Oh my god.
That'd be awful, because you'd be disencouraged if you got like a 1. You'd be like, what's disencouraged? Is that a word?
Disencouraged. You know what? It is now.
Discouraged? Uncouraged?
Discouraged. Wait, discouraged?
What's the word?
What is the word?
Yeah, discouraged. I think it's discouraged.
discouraged?
I think
Think
it's one of
so,
those
yeah.
things where it's like we're saying it so many times that it's beginning to sound weird. Like if you say spoon 12 times, it starts
Language
to lose the
Discouraged? Yeah, I think so. I think it's
Discouraged. It's
Yeah.
discouraged. It's discouraged.
I just call it a critical fail.
Yeah, right. Critical fail. That was an in check that we all failed.
Language only
wheel
works.
breaks.
Yeah. Oh god. Oh god. That would be that. Yeah, that's the net one.
Language only works because we all agree that words mean things. They're just made up.
Yeah.
So disencouraged is totally a word. Anyway.
You get the context. You get the context.
Yeah, you'd be discouraged if you rolled a 1, and then you'd be like, oh no. But I'd be more worried if I rolled a 20, and I'd be like, well, F! I have to make masterwork now!
Yep. Making gourds today.
That takes like a week, bro!
That's when
I
you
love
throw away the first cup. You come back 3 hours later after you break a cup.
Yeah.
And then you throw some more stuff.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
It's, yeah.
So since we are making so many nerd references, I feel like it's important for our listeners to know that you are yourself a nerdy potter. Like a lot of your, at least because when I was first kind of getting familiar with your work, like after we met each other, which I still can't remember that exact moment, but after we did,
This
that's
lovely sticker on
yeah.
it.
I was gonna say I love that. I love that.
What's the sticker
But-
from?
It's from in shameless promotion. It's actually from a group of vendors I know called Dreamvale Studios.
Oh,
A group of what?
Dreamvale Studios.
yeah.
Yeah,
I've
it's Ariel and Ryan.
God, you're so good with names. I'm so jealous.
Well,
Yeah, I know.
yeah, you're just
I
like
only know. So okay, I used to be a realtor. Truth be told,
Oh.
that's the only reason why I'm good with names.
Like, all people look the same to me. All human beings are just different shapes of the same skeleton and the same, and you're just different shades. So every now and then I'm like, who are you?
I say
look
that
like-
these days now.
Okay.
yeah.
I'm like, hey, that guy looks like, who's that actor? That looks like him.
Yeah.
It
Oh,
looks
yeah.
nothing like him.
Yeah.
It totally does.
It totally does.
There's like 30 types of human beings per area, and then after you learn one area, you're like, you all look the same.
Oh my god.
You guys are having wars over your differences. You're all the same. You're not different.
Remember that guy on that video game? you look just like him.
Just like that guy.
He looks nothing like him. He has a scar right here and a scar right here. No. If you put the scars on him, he would look just like him.
Yeah,
If you added
absolutely,
one thing,
absolutely.
he hit 7 out of 8. That's close enough. I saw a picture of Abel's, my wife's dad the other day when he was young, and I was like, your dad looked like Star-Lord.
Oh my god.
She's like, Chris Pratt? And I was like, yeah. She's like, you can't say that. And I was like, why? She goes, that's just a generic white man. And I was like, no, it's not. He has a handsome face. And she's like, you just see a college
It's
football
Parks and
player.
Rec. He looks the same.
He looks
from
exactly
Parks
the
and Rec.
same.
He just looks fatter on Parks and Rec.
He just has a bit more tissue on him.
He's still swoon material either way in my book.
He's very like,
He's good looking, but
Yeah.
George Clooney would be my go-to person. I'm sorry. He's
No, that's a solid choice. George Clooney is
solid
always
choice
a
for
solid
me.
choice.
who's the black 007? That guy. I forget his name.
It's not Idris Elba.
I think it is Idris
Is it
Elba.
Idris?
I think so.
The new one, right?
The new one.
Yeah, Idris Elba.
Or he's
Yeah,
supposed to be the
okay.
new one,
He's
rather.
gotta be
Like, he's the top pick for the new
That's
one.
hella cool. I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Well, he's
Henry
like
Cavill was trying to be him too.
Oh.
Yeah.
he's like Twitter's most favorite. They wanted a different archetype, and they also want someone to stay as
007 for a while.
yeah, for like a
Yeah.
long time. They were
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
we
yeah.
want like a 10-year commitment,
Oh, cool.
and so my money's on him.
Yeah.
And Abel told me, and I was like, oh, and I looked at him, I was like, oh yeah, yeah, I ain't gay, but I am blind, boy. Yeah, I see it.
Oh my god.
I see it.
All right, we should probably bring it back to Clay. I'm like, bro, let's go over all of our celebrity crushes, and then we will go to dim sum without having completed this
Right?
interview. Because listeners should know we are going to dim sum.
We're going to dim
after
sum.
this interview.
Lindsey messaged me and was like, oh, let's do the interview instead of dim sum. And I was like, well, dim sum starts at 11. Why don't we just...
How long has it been since we've gone to dim sum?
Hella days.
God, like-
Pre-pandemic.
Yeah, it's been years.
Well,
Yeah.
Lindsey and I convince each other once a month to go.
Yeah.
But, like, we're easy to convince.
And you guys live downtown.
Yeah, we live downtown. We have, like,
It's
3
easy.
different dim sum places around us.
Yeah.
I, unfortunately, am not blessed with that. It's a Carl's Jr.'s and an Arby, and I'm not that rich.
That's true.
Oh yeah, that's the blue bud. That's the blue bud stuff. Oh my god. All right, well.
So, so to answer your question, I usually throw them pretty thin. A lot of my stuff is actually the mouths and stuff like that you see on there are actually hollow. There's nothing inside them.
Okay.
And so I'll sculpt them together and I'll run a brush through it and let them seal up and because
okay.
there's a myth that if you make something with air trapped inside that it blows up in the kiln.
Yeah, that's not true.
Yeah,
You
it's
just have to let the air out, essentially, especially
Yeah.
if you're throwing and you're good.
It's the moisture that will cause the explosions
Yeah,
within
exactly.
that because the
Yeah.
moisture
Makes
with
steam.
yeah.
So I make these long Raven beat cups, and
Yes.
I used to be afraid to make that stuff, and now I'm like, you know what? If it breaks, fuck it. Mm-hmm. But I'll just make it hollow because I don't want it to be too heavy. Somebody can't pick it up and drink out of it.
Right.
But heavy enough that if you wanted to stab your cheating lover, you could.
Damn.
I love that. Oh my god.
Damn, why'd you go straight there? You got something to say? You got some past trauma.
Did you
Ashley!
get it together? Run, Ashley, run. Did you pretty much always have a sense that you wanted to make like creatures and monsters and like nerdy stuff, or did it take a while for you to develop like your own style with ceramics?
So I started simple. I made mugs, I made yarn bowls, I made pots, and then I started figuring out that, oh man, like this sucks. Like this is
It does, yeah.
super simple for me. Like I hate simple ceramics. Like I don't like anything, and then it just looks like you bought it from Walmart.
Yes.
At that point.
Yeah.
So I started sculpting on pots for plants, and I have a small succulent garden and an obsession with pots, and so I have all these pots out there with all these faces on it.
Oh.
I'm into like old school like B horror films like The Blob and Mothman and Lawnmower Man, like Nightmare on Elm Street, like
Yeah.
stuff that's to this day is like not even that creepy.
Yeah, we have CGI now.
We've come a long way, but there is something like, I mean, I'm more a fan of, what is it, like occult horror, so like the old slasher films aren't necessarily my jam.
Okay.
But I appreciate that they're like, they're the building blocks of contemporary horror, so I'm like,
Definitely.
yeah, I'm for that.
It's like we have good kung fu movies now because we have to watch those crappy ones. Like we had to come from somewhere.
But see, I like the old kung fu movies though.
Oh, I
Truth be
love
told,
them or
I like
hate
the
them.
old ones. The Flying Flying Guillotine, House of Seven Swords,
Oh
like
my
all that
gosh.
weird stuff.
I still
Yeah.
think Kung Pao Hidden Fist is the funniest thing I've ever seen. I watched that movie 100. You've never seen that?
I don't think I have.
You haven't seen that?
Dude, I'm gonna send it to you.
Oh my god.
It's just they took this old kung fu movie and they had a production value of like $1,000.
Oh my god.
So they just got a green screen, some dude who was jacked, and they voiced the entire thing over.
Oh my, wait, so they like dubbed it?
They essentially dubbed the entire thing. It's
Absolutely.
hilarious, Lindsay.
The part where he nunchucks the cow in the face.
Oh, there's a
What?
cow. All their
Oh
money
my
went to like
God.
this CGI cow, and they made the cow do kung fu. And the main bad guy was named like Master Pain, but he was very confused about his life, and he sounded like this.
Oh my god.
And he would-
Oh god, that's
the
horrible.
whole movie.
Like the Mandarin from Flash Gordon.
Oh
Yeah.
god.
Yep. And they would be like, Master Pain is here to give a demonstration of his master in martial arts, and he'd be like, call me Betty.
Oh
And
my
they're like,
God.
I guess his name is Betty now. And he would just like kill anyone who didn't call him Master Betty. He would be
Wow.
like, it's Betty, you son of a bitch. And like he would punch him and kill him.
That is absurd and I love that.
You gotta
Yeah.
watch it.
Oh my
The
god.
most amazing movie ever.
Really.
Okay.
I'd still watch that over like Ong Bak.
There's nothing wrong with Tony Jaa.
I do love Tony Jaa, but yeah.
Okay, I'm
It's just
adding.
hilarious.
I'm definitely gonna be adding that to my movie list.
I'll send it to you.
Okay, yes,
I'll send
please
it
do.
to you, and it's like a free movie now. It's like free on YouTube.
Oh,
at this
solid.
point.
Okay. I
Yeah.
love
Oh,
that.
it's super. It's a definitely a solid watch. I
Okay.
will give you that.
Okay.
But I love Army of Darkness and Evil Dead.
Oh,
Those are my
yes.
all-time favorite movies.
Okay. Okay. Oh god, yeah, those are good. I think I've only seen those as like the midnight movies at like the Crest Theater from like back in the day.
yeah.
I love that. I love
Yeah,
that.
I used to watch those nonstop, and they're still super funny to me to this day.
Yeah.
Because it's Bruce Campbell. I mean, he's a comedian at heart, and he was the master of thieves in Hercules and Xena.
Oh
my
my
God.
god.
So yeah, that's where I get my inspiration from though too. So like I'm a huge D&D nerd. Geez, like Greek mythology, H.P. Lovecraft. Yeah, and you know the thing about like H.P. Lovecraft is like his stuff is so weird that whenever you like look at it, they're like, oh yeah, like it looked like whatever, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
they don't have any shape or essence in H.P. Lovecraft's world.
Right.
So people
Yeah,
just
'cause-
draw it differently.
Yeah, because Cthulhu's the only one. I mean, I haven't read a lot of Lovecraft, but like I've heard enough like about it from the various
Yeah.
like podcasts and stuff. But yeah, my understanding is that Cthulhu's the only creature that he actually includes some description of. But for the most part, it's like he's the inventor of like cosmic horror, from what I understand.
Yeah,
but there's
essentially,
like
yeah.
but they're just eldritch beings that we get to have so much.
They're so
Yeah.
indescribable that you can't like. Oh man, if you haven't seen The Color Space yet, fantastic movie.
No,
It's
what's
got
it called?
Nicolas Cage in it.
What? Okay, anything with Nick
Nicolas
Cage, I'm here for
He
that.
makes the greatest B films ever.
Oh my
Like,
god.
want to watch a B-rated movie? I'm like, no, Nicolas Cage. Oh.
Yeah.
Nicolas
We're
Cage.
gonna find treasure? Yeah. Nicolas Cage.
yes, we are.
I would.
Oh my god.
Did you see the new one?
No,
The Hard Life of Being Nicolas Cage. Or
Oh
whatever it
yeah,
was.
No.
the impossible weight of being me, or something like that. Yeah.
I want to see that.
Yeah.
But he's been in these weird. So Face Off used to be my all-time favorite movies. Yeah, Face Off.
Yeah.
Can you imagine it?
Oh my god, that would be so.
Or what
absurd.
is it? Oh my god, that people always make that quote. Oh, I could eat a peach for hours.
Oh my god.
That came from Face Off.
Oh my god, clearly I need to rewatch this because I haven't seen that in ages.
Is old Nicolas Cage quote.
Oh my god.
Face Off.
Plus,
So
that's
yeah,
fantastic.
Color Space, great movie.
Okay.
He's always super corny in his movies. It's weird,
awesome.
but he makes for good B movies, B horror flicks.
Yeah.
He made that one about trying to kill his children. Like
Oh my God.
all the parents, like they were infected with some virus that made them want to kill their children.
Oh my god.
It was pretty weird.
So how did you start selling your Eldritch and B movie and mythology inspired creations?
I actually started selling my simple stuff first. It was mostly craft fairs, markets, and I realized like I was slinging mugs like $10 a piece,
Oh,
$15 a piece.
Yeah.
Oh, and how many years ago was this? Like, how long have you been doing ceramics?
Like 7 years now,
Okay.
actually. So, and that brings me back. So when
Oh,
I met
yeah.
you, I'd been doing it like maybe 3 years.
Oh, okay.
I hadn't been doing it very long. I knew about Donte, and like I watched a lot of his videos, and I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, let me try this. And then I met you at Chocolate Fish.
Oh,
when
okay.
was it Alejandro, was that his name? The guy who used to manage it? The manager,
Oh,
the short
oh,
dude.
Armando!
Yeah.
I love Armando.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I would fight demons at the gates of hell for that man. Yes.
Yeah, he told me, because we used to talk all the time, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I want to get my mugs in the shops, and
Yeah.
he's like, you should talk to Lindsey, like, Lindsey does pottery too. I'm like, no shit, I'm like, that's super cool, let me talk to Lindsey.
Hell
And then I met you that one day, and then I came back, and you were already gone. I was like, what is going on? Like, did you just quit now?
Yep, I quit right before the pandemic started, which was, whew, that was good timing.
Oh, that was rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I met you, and then,
Yeah.
so yeah, I've been doing it like 7 years now, and
Okay.
I've only been selling like 4 years.
Okay.
So, believe it or not, like, pre-pandemic, maybe a year pre-pandemic, I was actually
okay.
starting to sell.
And so you sold at like local farmers markets and things like that?
No, I started at Susan's Second Saturday Walk.
Okay.
And then I was doing like these craft fairs, like I did one at HP, I did one at a lot of these schools and stuff. And I think the hardest part about it is that I think you can get discouraged, like selling stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, easily. Yeah.
Yeah.
You either sell out or no one looks at your stuff sometimes.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Or I mean, selling mugs $10-15 a piece, and you make maybe $200, and you feel, and that's been the hardest part for me. Is getting into these bigger markets like Zach Anime and Sinister Creature Con is pricing. I know we've had a discussion on pricing before.
Yeah.
So that's been my hardest thing is, well, how do I price this piece accordingly based on the amount of work I do or the amount of work I don't do
Yeah.
or how people perceive it.
Because those sculptural pieces you do, like, take a lot of time.
Yeah, sculptural pieces. Like, I couldn't imagine trying to sell sculptures and pay them like $10.
Oh
Yeah,
my god.
yeah.
Oh yeah, no, and you shouldn't. You definitely shouldn't.
No.
Over the last like couple of years, how have you like navigated that with figuring out like, okay, like how do you price something so that it represents the amount of work that you put into it, but also like, you know I ran into this issue myself where it's like, are you pricing yourself out of the market when you're selling mugs for a certain price at this venue, and then do you have to look at different venues? And anyway, so how have you like navigated that?
It's like a two-part question, right? So I've looked at Dante's stuff, I've looked at your stuff, I've looked at other potters, and I think for a long time I've struggled with, am I good enough to present a piece for $50? And when I look at other people's pieces, I'm like, oh, well, I'm good enough to do something like that. Like, let me do my own piece and I'll sell it at that price. And I think, in a way, I started realizing, well, I'm going to take away from the potter's market if I sell my piece for $20.
Yeah.
And
People get mad about that if you undersell yourself. Yeah.
So because I remember seeing your pieces, they used to be a little bit cheaper, and I mean,
Horribly
rate
underpriced. Horribly underpriced.
I'm gonna tell y'all a secret. I'm gonna make Lindsey mad. I'm about to do a big old sale this Christmas. Ain't nothing over $55. Nothing in the store about to be over $55.
All right. Well, at least they're not like 15 like you used
Yeah,
to.
they used to be like 15.
Oh my god.
I saw that, and then I saw you change your price, and you're like, oh, it's $50 for a mug.
Lindsey's
Like,
fault.
I'm glad I influenced you.
Blame Lindsey, guys.
Yeah.
I blame Lindsey too, because I work with Cody, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Cody used to tell me, oh my god, like Lindsey sells her mugs for like $50. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Lindsey should be selling them for like $80 a piece easily. He's like, that's what I told her. I said, yeah, definitely. They're so cool. You should be selling them for like $100. No way.
Oh, thanks, man.
And there's potters out there, and not to like say that it's bad that if you price your work too high in the market, but there's potters like Mr. Cherico who sells them for like $160 a mug. Mm-hmm. I would never buy a mug for $160. I'm just saying. But when you get that high and you look at that piece, to me, I look at it as an artist that, oh well, shit, I can make that much for $160. Like I could sell that for $160. But the draw for him is he knows people, so people use that comparability of like, he knows God, what is that black Scientologist, or not Scientologist? I was gonna say Scientologist.
I was gonna say, I don't know a single black Scientologist.
The guy who's the astrophysicist.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah, so he knows Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And I feel like he uses that fame for people to buy his mugs.
It is about the name a bit. Like, I'm very aware that I couldn't sell my mugs for probably even $50-$60. Even at the quality it is at now.
No. You totally sell them for $60.
Not without the YouTube. If people didn't know me from YouTube, they'd be like, what the fuck is this weirdo? Curly haired looking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you Italian?
Yeah.
little half breed.
Yeah, there definitely is something to like.
It's not a lot, but like $10 more.
Priced out of the market. You need to go higher.
Yeah, I think you go higher.
Gotta go higher. I'm telling you.
After this sale, after this Christmas sale, because I want people to be able to get their gifts. You know.
Yeah.
It's like there's some Twitch streamers I really respect who will take the sub button away because the sub button makes money for them. But during the holidays, they'll take it away, and people are like, "Why'd you take the sub button when I was trying to sub to you?" And I'm like, dude, it's Christmas. Save your money. Buy gifts for the people you love. Like, that's my mentality. Is like, I'm lowering my prices so you can get the stuff for the people you love in your life, or even for yourself. And then after that, maybe we'll put a couple dollars on it.
I think you should raise your prices, though. I will second that. And the reason I say this is because I used to have your mentality, too. And I used to think that, oh, man, like, I just want somebody to get something. And then I started pricing my sculptural pieces at $80 a piece. Yeah. Because I was like, well, this takes way too much time to make. I've broken so many making them.
And that's still relatively cheap considering...
It's cheap. Yeah.
Considering it's sculpture.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So the Folsom Renaissance, there's a guy named Dan Hemming, and he does monster stuff, too. His shit is $150 a piece.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a niche market.
I mean, that's about where I price my Dragon Egg mugs, like $175 for
And they're worth it.
Yeah.
That makes sense, though, the amount of labor that goes into that.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But even the amount of labor that goes into your carved stuff. My carved mugs are probably about that size, maybe a little bit bigger, and I don't sell them for less than $50 a piece.
Really?
No.
Carving's easy, bro. Carving.
Again,
it is, but
give me 5 more minutes. I'll carve.
It's the view of the piece.
Yeah.
So my fiance told me that she was like, oh, you should totally be pricing your stuff like way higher, right? Like Cody used to tell you, price your shit higher.
Yeah. For the listeners' context, Cody is my longtime partner.
He's not real. He doesn't exist.
He totally does.
I've never seen this man. I've seen him like 2 or 3 times actually.
Yeah,
I know he's real.
Yeah, no, he's just paid actor.
But he looks different every time, so I think Lindsey hired someone.
He just works with me, and he's like, I know Lindsey.
Yeah, oh yeah.
We've seen it a few times.
Oh yeah, just a couple times.
I bought one of her mugs.
Yeah.
She paid me to say that she was my partner.
Oh yeah, definitely. Anyway, sorry, carry on.
No, he told me that, and so I started. That was actually I was doing pottery at the time, and so she was telling me, you need to price your stuff higher because you're pricing yourself out of the market. I think if it was me, I would pay for that piece.
Yeah.
I'm not really into like the super creepy shit, but I would pay for something like that if I was into it because it's the look, right? No matter how many hours it takes you. Some of my pieces take me 2 or 3 hours to make. Right, but I've been so used to making them that I can just throw some shit on there, sculpt it, even it out, paint it. It's the painting that takes a long time, but making the piece sometimes doesn't take me that much time.
Right, but because you're able,
the perception,
yeah, and also like the skill that it took you to get to the point where it doesn't take you that long to make is valued.
That's the biggest reason for me.
Yeah,
and I was gonna say your glazes are. So my wife actually my soon-to-be wife likes your glazes.
I try so hard.
She's like they're super nice, and she's like I don't know why he sells his mugs for that cheap.
Most of my glazes are handmade, and ever since I started paying more attention to Matt Katz, who's like a glaze chemistry teacher.
Okay.
I've started to like get really. I'm so close to taking one of his classes.
Oh.
$400, right?
Well, I think he has a $400 one.
I mean, it's worth it though.
I mean, I think he has a $400 one, and I think he has like a $700 one, but I think the $700 one is in person with all the stuff set up for you.
Oh, okay.
So you're there. I think, and I hope this is the case because it's the one I'm gonna buy. I think the $400 one is like he gives you a packet of a bunch of videos and CDs, so you can watch it yourself at your own pace.
No, there's an online course of it. There's an online portion too. So you go online, and then there's this whole Instagram thing too, and it's that guy Joe Thompson took it, and he said that the $400 class is worth it because they have this. You go through this class, then you have to submit stuff to them. You have to send pieces to them, and they test them. And he said it's well worth the $400.
I think I'm gonna take it. Maybe I can get a discount for the 3 potters. I remember tagging him in something one time, and he gave me a 10% discount for everybody.
What?
And I was like, maybe I can get that back for myself.
Hint, discount.
So, yeah, you're right.
Matt Katz.
So yeah, I would. So that's actually how I got into making glazes too. Was I remember? So we met at
Empty Bowls?
Empty Bowls, yeah.
I still have the pictures,
I was like, I'm like, shit, it's Donte. I gotta take a picture with him. Because I saw Lindsey, and I was like, I'm like, Lindsey, I'm like, you know Donte. I'm like, I don't even know the guy. I know his YouTube.
Yeah.
can I get a picture with them?
I get that sometimes, and it's so weird to me. I went into a pottery shop yesterday, and there were 3 people just like staring at me. And you know, my brain's like, trying to fight? What do you want? Trying to run these hands? I'm trying to pass some fucking glaze, man.
Donte, you're low-key famous. You just gotta...
Only in pottery shops am I like C-lister famous.
I mean, that would low-key be me though. Like if I didn't know you and I saw it, I'd be like, oh my god, it's Donte.
One person got me really bad. I was at Alpha one time trying to pick out some clay, and this lady came up to me and she was like, hey, do you, like, I'm trying to do this, this, and this. Of course, my potter brain broke it down for her. I was like, what do you sculpt? Do you do this? What do you do? At what cone? At what? Like, and she was like, yeah. And so I helped her pick out some clay. She got some, like, not Cassius. She got some Black Mountain clay. Obsidian clay. She got some obsidian clay.
Yeah.
And after she picked it up, she's like, thanks, Donte, and walked away. And I was like, yeah, wait. I just got baited hella hard.
Yeah, you did.
But then she was like, oh, he knows. He's from YouTube. And then...
Yeah.
Oh,
my God. Yeah.
I love that. Oh, that's so great.
We had that on on Reddit. So I'm on Reddit now. And one lady gave me the moderator thing for the pottery forum. I'm like, I don't know if I really want this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I met somebody who knows you guys too, who listens to your podcast. It's Jenny Webb.
Yes!
And
oh my god!
I play video games with Jenny.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
I'm telling you, the number one way to become my friend is to just play Destiny.
Yeah.
It's a weird avenue for pottery, but like
I think Destiny needs to sponsor you.
If you play Destiny, I'll
give you a free pack. Don't they have like DLCs?
It's free. It's a free game at this point.
But they have like, you can get like the outfit pack for whatever, right? They should give you this. They should give you some outfit.
Well, what
pack.
they do
They
at
should
this
give you a
point,
pottery outfit pack, like an apron and shit.
I'm one of those dudes who like, looks at the pottery in the game, and I'm like, this is real nice. And my teammate Frost and Jay are like, you're the only person who would ever stop in a gunfight to be like, ooh, nice pot.
Hashtag pottery.
I'm like, it has gold luster on it, and he's like, yeah, it's a gold ship. I'm like, yeah.
It's a pot. It looks nice.
The whole pot is gold and it has an outline of black. And my brain's like, it can't be made of gold, right? It has to be luster if it's real pottery. Otherwise, it's like metal cast or some shit like that. And I was trying to explain to Frost, like, the amount of money gold luster would take to make this large of a pot.
Oh my god.
It was like 4 feet tall. It's like half your guardian size.
Here's a secret. Gold leaf.
Yeah, that's true. Gold leaf.
Yeah.
Gold leaf's
That would be,
cheaper.
oh my god. That amount of gold luster would be like hundreds and hundreds of dollars.
It's a lot for one pot, and the ship was full of them.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Do you find yourself doing that when you watch like movies and stuff? You're like, oh, that's a nice pot.
Oh
anime?
I so do that. I'll pause the like whatever I'm watching and like get up to the TV with my phone and like take a picture of it.
Oh my.
To like, because sometimes I'm like, man, like I could make this like a pot and like I could sell this at like what was it? Castlevania had some really nice ceramics, particularly in the vampire's castle, and I'm like, ooh, like low key. Yeah. But then there's like the question of would anybody recognize it? Like, how do you market it? You know.
So they would, right? So I watched Soul Eater again, right? Mm-hmm. I was like, it's Soul Eater, and then I looked in there and I was like, shit, that's a nice teacup. I bet I could make that. Yeah. I was like, and they only showed it in one scene. And I was like, let's make that. I low key really want to make that. So I made them and I was painting them and I posted on my Instagram. Somebody's like, I'm super interested to see what the Soul Eater cups look like. I was like, oh my god, somebody recognized it.
That's actually pretty amazing. If it only showed up for one scene, that's like...
Yeah, they were drinking tea or something.
Yeah, he was talking to, I think he was talking to Soul or something, and he like was drinking tea, and he's like, oh, you want some tea? And like this teacup popped up, and it was just super cool with the skull logo on it, and then this weird like ridged cup.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So it was super cool. So
functional ceramic work is so ingrained in like Eastern culture that it's just in their shit, and they don't mention it. Like at this point, I want an anime.
They have an anime.
They do, but it's bad. It's so bad.
It is. It's little girls and stuff making pottery.
I don't even mind. They have to make a mug too.
Yeah.
Is
And
that what it's called?
It's called Let's Make a Mug 2, but not the number 2. That's TOO.
Yeah.
And I enjoy it. I liked the anime, but like, I find it so weird that especially Japanese culture has ceramic artwork ingrained into their culture to the part where it's part of daily life. But simultaneously, they have a really banger anime about ice skating, and one about golf, and one about badminton, and basketball, and bowling.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Like, those are like on the sidelines of the cultural stance, and they're like something that really matters. They have a whole history about it. They're just like, nah, we're not gonna make that shit.
Oh my god.
You
I
know,
want shokugeki, but pottery is what I want. That's what I want.
Oh my god, a pottery battle, an
too.
epic pottery
I
battle.
would love
too.
that with the royal families. I know they
Oh
still
my
exist
God.
in Japan.
They're like making glazes and shit. What do I want to add? Let's add some
Yeah.
bat wings to this shit. And
Bat wings for what? The calcium? Oh my god.
that's a commoner's glaze, but what you don't know is I have, and he pulls out like a horse bone,
Yeah.
some really rare whiting, and he grinds it up in front of you, throws it in, and the other guy's like, "Nani? Like what? Oh no!
Oh my god.
My secret glaze is ruined. He knows the ingredients, horse bones."
Guys,
the main
guys,
character
if
this super like low key like poor potter that doesn't know shit about pottery, and he's like, I'm just gonna use this simple stuff here and
Yeah.
I make these fantastic glazes. And you're like, dude, you can't make it out of that.
Can't make it out of that.
if any of us wins the
You're missing the
lottery,
zinc.
let's make a pact that if any of us wins the lottery, we have to fund a pottery
A Shokugeki
anime.
battle
I have to
pottery.
play
Shokugeki pottery anime. This needs to happen.
I would.
Oh, it needs to happen.
Yeah.
Or we fund some low key like fight club where it's like, okay, we're gonna gather all these potters together, and you guys are all gonna like fight for the pottery championship.
Yeah.
You gotta
like the
make all
American
your own
version.
clay, make all your own glazes.
I would be
Dude,
ruined.
and
I've
the
never made
winner
my
of the
own
competition gets a glaze that was handed down from like, oh, this is the real jade. This is the real Oribe recipe. That's been lost since like the 1600s.
Bro.
That we can't make anymore because the
Bro.
chemicals no longer, you know.
Yeah.
It was so good. They said it had pure jade in it, and I'm sure that's a lie, but that's how good it was.
Right?
Oh, that's beautiful.
Well, it's like, I think I asked you about Lumos, right? And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm like, does Lumos like layer with whatever? And so,
Lumos layer with everything.
oh my god, yeah. So I need to try that. I have not, so truth be told, and I'm ashamed that I have not tried it since.
No,
Since then,
it's expensive to make.
I tried to make it, and I made it, and it ran off my pots, and I was so angry.
Yeah, it's a runny glaze because I think it has a good amount of lithium in it.
That would, okay,
Like
that
a
would make
powerful
sense.
flux. But like, if you just, what I do is I put a little more water in it and lower the gravity, and that makes an even coat. If you put not enough water in it, it'll run.
Okay.
But you can layer it with almost any dark glaze, and it makes magic.
Ooh, I would have
Black,
to try
blue, red. It literally, like even store-bought glazes, you can layer it with anything. Over, under, doesn't matter. It's versatile.
that. Will it make oil spots?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
It makes oil spots if you mix it with most black glazes, like licorice, any Ron Roy dark glaze. It makes it.
Okay. What about the oil spot base?
I don't. The oil spot base that I got from Glazy, not my recipe. It does, but it makes it
Okay.
really, really separate. So it's like a lot of white and a little black in the middle.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
I need to try that because I haven't tried it yet, but maybe it'll work this time because I spray glazes now, so I don't do any dipping, I don't do any pouring
really?
anymore.
Put it over. If you want to learn how it runs, put it over stuff,
Okay.
and then you'll be like, oh, okay, it runs. But if
Is it
you
like a
use it
Jen's
as,
Juicy Fruit,
mm,
or is it worse?
no, it's lighter than that because
Okay.
you can put a little more water in it and decrease the gravity or increase the gravity. I don't know. I feel like I'm just putting water in it and mix it up really well. Get the number closer to 1 than it is to 2, so it's decreased the gravity technically.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you're adding more weight to it, so it's always mixture for me. But yeah, if you just add a little more water to it, it doesn't run as much. And just don't leave it. Like if you dip it, don't 1, 2, 3, dip the whole thing, 2 seconds, take it out.
Okay.
It will run if you overlayer it for sure, but if you know how to treat it right, it doesn't.
So yeah, that's why I spray my glazes now because I have ruined so many shelves.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So many shelves.
Did you purchase the spray booth or did you like build one yourself? Or how do you do it?
I'm really cheap.
fair.
Walmart cardboard boxes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
okay.
And a table.
Solid.
And the best investment is a shimpo banding wheel.
Oh my god.
Oh yes, the Shimpo banding wheels are amazing.
They last forever. They're expensive, but they don't make
Yeah.
any sound. They last
So
forever.
nice.
They're so smooth.
Yeah.
For anyone who's listening to this, that blue little turntable thing that I have in my videos, if you've ever seen one of those, those are prime for money.
Yeah.
Don't put your finger underneath the.
Don't put your finger. Yeah, don't put your finger.
It
Don't put your
hurts
finger
so
underneath
much.
any banding wheel, right? But that one especially.
Yeah.
Hurts so much.
So, all right. Well, since we have a pretty good sense of where you get your inspiration from, have you ever had a time where your creative juices have run dry, and where how do you keep up your inspiration?
It's hard to answer that. So I do and I don't. There's periods of I've listened to both of your guys' like YouTubes and podcasts and watch your Instagrams and stuff, and I'm the same way as any artist, right? You get to a point where I wouldn't say it's depressed. It's just you don't really want to do anything pottery-wise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm tired of making mugs.
So I recharge. I take that time to recharge. I just don't do anything.
Yeah.
I don't watch a lot of TV as it is, but I'll watch TV. I'll play some video games. I'll read some books, play some D&D, something, and then I'll get back into it.
Yeah.
When I get like this moment of inspiration or something, or I think of like, oh, this would be super cool. How do I put this together? Or in anime terms, how do I ship this with this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Well, that's kind of nice too, because you also again for like I know this, but our listeners don't. But you also work full time for the state.
With Cody.
With Cody, yeah. So you don't have to. Like you have a little bit of that more like leeway so that when you do hit that brick wall of like, oh my God, I'm like, I don't want to work on ceramics, you're able to have a little bit more leeway to recharge that creative
I
battery.
hate my job. I'm just gonna throw it out there. I hate my job.
Would you ever consider going
Like, I work for the feds and I hate the feds. Feds suck.
The state.
The state.
Yeah.
all together.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I love IT.
Yeah.
It's what I do. It's what I've been doing for 30 plus years. I'm an artist at heart. I went to school for art. I never got a degree in art. And, I've just always loved ceramics. So much so that I went to Japan, went to a place called Ochanomizu, and I actually brought some ceramics back with me in my backpack.
God, wow.
And this was before I got into ceramics. But, yeah, I mean, the goal is to get out of the job. But the problem is my thinking is, well, I work for the state. The state has great benefits.
Yeah.
And more so the medical aspect of it. So I would never leave the state until I get my medical benefits. And because I'm getting married soon, beneficial for both of us. Everybody knows how expensive it is to live here.
Yep.
We're the capital, essentially.
Oh my God. Yeah, we are.
Whenever you, what was that movie, Hunger Games? When you see the different districts.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, man, some of those districts are real poor. We're the capital.
Sacramento.
We're the
it's
capital. Really weird to think about it, but how expensive it is to live here. Like, we have something called the Fab 40s.
Yeah.
Street.
Yep.
Those are like mansions.
Yeah.
And they're
we
not
live in
like
districts.
Not to except we of course also have really like under-invested in communities in Sacramento too. So
The next block is poor people, and the block over is just like millionaires.
Yeah, it's really,
very strange.
I don't even know how they're the Fab 40s. Those houses don't even look that great. Half
They
of them
don't.
look like ramshackle, put together houses, and
They're just
putting-
old and worked on, and they're more than like 2 to 3 stories. They can
Yeah.
fit like a family of 7 in one of them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I've never been inside one of them, so.
Oh, I haven't been inside. Well, I think I've been inside one, but
I have a friend who
Yeah.
lives in one of them, and they're like Arnold Schwarzenegger used to live on that street.
Yes,
that's how
he did, yeah.
that's how expensive it is.
yeah.
Super expensive. So, anyway, what was the question again?
I
Sorry, I derailed.
So basically, just I was curious if you would ever do ceramics full time, but it kind of sounds like you like the stability that the state offers makes it so that like
Worth it for now.
So I telework, right? So
Yeah.
truth be told, I telework. I mean, and I don't know if Cody teleworks, but he probably does.
Yeah.
So we telework. So we get a lot of downtime. I guess I would say I get into my lunches, my breaks, in between when I don't actually have work.
Yeah.
I do some little sculpting, or I throw some pieces the night before, and then I sculpt them while I got time during lunch.
Nice.
Ultimately, sure, I'd like to leave my job, but I don't think I could because of the medical benefits. But now that does lead into the second part. Well, my soon-to-be wife, I'd like her to actually step down and work half-time. At a job, because if I can get my ceramics to a point where I'm making more than half of what she makes at work, then here, work half time, go to this convention,
Yeah.
Right,
I
even
can actually
out.
be there. Yeah.
Yeah. What does she do with the business? Like what?
She's the artist.
Really? Wait. So what do you mean? What do you mean? You've been talking this whole time how you sculpt. You're the artist as well,
So
of course.
I'm a sculptor, right? And I have no concept apparently when it comes to like contrasting colors and art and colors and all this stuff. And she used to paint and all this stuff. So
very cool.
she has all these art cons. Like she has the truth be told, like artists, like going to school, like understanding
the formal training.
Yeah. So she knows, like she's totally knows about all that stuff. So she'll kind of rein me in on certain things. Well, I don't know if you should put on her because that might break off, or I don't know if that color looks good with that because it might take away from this.
Yeah.
And that blue looks super cool. Like you should add that to everything.
Okay.
And honestly, I'm surprised at what sells with the stuff that she tells me about.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I made a turquoise just because she's like, you should make a turquoise.
Yep.
Women love turquoise.
Yeah,
and
that's
people
true.
love turquoise in their houses. And like, okay, Damn.
Turquoise and purples and blues.
Yeah.
Are
yeah.
like all cousin colors, and people like them.
And I hate them so much.
I know, I hate them. I know, I hate them too. I only hate them because they're so common. That's about it. Like everyone likes them, and so I get tired of seeing it out in the world.
Yeah, I'm an earth potter. Down to my core. I like earth colors.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
So and you'll see it in the pieces like the ones that you told me about, like the atmospheric firing. That's just Stephen Hill's firing in electric hill. That's all it is. And it's an experiment of different colors, and then I use 2 of the colors that he uses, the strontium and he uses the Jan's Juicy Fruit. They're the only 2 combinations I use out of his glazes because I know that's what actually gets that effect.
Oh, okay.
But then he also sprays his pieces.
Yeah.
So that's how I get that effect. It's online. You don't. I mean, it's nothing.
It looks so nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just-
For some context,
not magical.
our dear listeners, Aaron's pieces. Part of the reason I love them is because they're cone 6 oxidation fired, from what I understand, but they look like they've gone through an atmospheric firing, like a salt firing or almost like a wood firing.
Yeah.
So it's just it's fun.
It's very easy to see that after a while the cone of what someone like cone 10 looks drastically different in my eyes from a cone 6, and cone 6 looks drastically different from like a low fire glaze or even like a 0-0 fire, right? But after you've been in the ceramic art world for a while, you're like, I can see what that is.
Yeah.
So when you see someone like Aaron's work and it doesn't look at all like how it's supposed to look, you're like, whoa!
Like, what is this?
What the shit, man?
Yeah, yeah.
And I will say, looking at like a lot of Dante's pieces, I mean, a lot of it is just the glazes, the way they're made. And I'm terrible at glaze making. I'm not that good at it. So I suggest. Hint, hint. Everybody who listens to this podcast, go to Glazy.
Yeah,
Check out the
Yes.
glazes on there because I do steal a lot of this off of there and I experiment with them a lot.
What I've started to, I made my own clear base so you can mix up the glaze, but what I've started to do is put everything on Glazy so that people can stop asking me for glaze recipes. So I just be like, here it is for free. I'm into sharing my glazes. I don't keep them for myself.
Yeah.
One day I might have one that's like so God sent that I might not share it, but for now, for the last X amount of years, I'm willing to share my glazes.
Shit, I've been wondering since when you were going to put them up there.
There,
I
yeah.
was like, how do I find this glaze?
I used to have a Discord bot that gave all my glazes, but then Matt Katz was like, just use Glazy, you could put notes up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
can put more, you don't have to make a whole robot for every glaze. And I was like, yeah, that's true. So I took away the robot, and now I'm just slowly adding glazes to Glazy so that people can have them, essentially. But a lot of them are not mine. A lot of them are stuff I've held for like 9 years and just figured out how to work them.
I mean, it doesn't even matter. I think they're, regardless of whether you got them or not, I mean, a lot of Joe Thompson's recipes are not things
That's
that
true,
they're things that he just tweaked.
Yeah.
Just to make better. And I think that's the whole point of like an artist community is being able to like tweak stuff and share it with everybody and say, hey, look, you can use this glaze. And you can still say, well, it's handmade. You know, it was tweaked. I mixed the chemicals. I put it on the piece. It's all handmade.
You know what the worst thing is that when you make your own glaze from scratch, when like you figure out the chemistry and then you put it in Glazy and you like do all the notes and everything, and then at the bottom of Glazy it tells you all the glazes that are similar to your glaze. And you're just like, so I just made someone else's glaze on accident. There's 17 other glazes that are exactly like my. I thought I was special.
That would be heartbreaking.
So now I've learned to just like use other people's data and tweak it essentially. 'Cause
Okay.
the work that I put into my own glazes has already been done by someone in history that has access to Glazy.
Yeah.
It's infuriating, actually.
What interests me about like a lot of your glazes too, and Joe Thompson's is the simplicity of it. So I'm probably like almost every other product. I hoard ingredients like nothing else, and I've got shit that I haven't used in days.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my god, this recipe has 15 fucking things.
Yeah.
Why do I have to add so much stuff to this?
Yeah.
But I like how your stuff is very simple. It's not like 20 ingredients to make this glaze, and I'm like, God, I'm already tired of making this glaze already. I don't even know if I want to use it.
If I gotta put more than like 5 oxides or carbonates and like mason sands together, it's too much testing for me. There's too much metal in the glaze. You know, if the limit for copper is like, and I'm making this number up because I don't have the digital fire in front of me. If the limit for copper for leaching is like 1%, and I add copper and then cobalt and then iron and then manganese dioxide and then some mason sand, I don't want to do the safety test for it, and I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
I just want to add a couple ingredients, do the safety test, figure out it's safe, and be done with it.
Okay, so how do you? Okay, that I had a question about that. How do you do safety testing? Because I've heard there's it's a double-edged sword, right? So the lemon test is always what people say, but
Vinegar too works.
yeah. So I've always heard that there is like there really is only one safety test, and it's to send it in and to have them test to leach it and all that stuff, because they say that a lot of times. So I've got a lot of Japanese pottery, and they're crackle glazes, they're these weird tomokus and stuff that you would expect leaching to occur in, and it does.
Yeah.
But here, I think in the States, we have this weird concept of what's food safe and what's gonna not get me sick. And I live in California. I'm gonna get fucking cancer anyway. So I don't know what the big deal is of drinking out of a cup from Japan.
I will say that the ceramic art community does a great job at teaching, but there's like a good 20% of them that teach by fear. Mm-hmm. So just in that light, I had to learn like what's actually really dangerous. And what's not. Granted, I still make it food safe, but there's a couple different axioms. There's like pitting and there's shivering, making sure the thermal expansion matches up with your glaze and your clay body to make sure it doesn't craze, and that way the germs don't get in the cracks and cohabitate food, food germs and mold and whatnot. And then there's leaching, and then there's making sure that there's not too much metal in it so it doesn't leach and the metal doesn't come off. And there's myths about putting it in the dishwasher, and the dishwasher makes it a different color, which isn't true. What do you think my dishwasher is made out of? Like acid? It's just soap. What's wrong with it? And then there's so many so many myths.
And the podcast For Flux's Sake actually has a really good episode talking about food safety, and they are like, that's one of I think it's Matt Katz, and I forget the other artist.
Rose Katz.
Yeah. And then there's the other moderator, but they are like trained in chemistry, so they can like frankly answer that better than we can, because
I love that podcast because every time I'm like, I don't think that's true. Matt Katz is like, that's not true. And I'm like, I knew it! I knew it!
I told you.
The Facebook potters have been lying to me because they're too afraid to do the test themselves. And Matt Katz, who has done the test, just told me the truth. Matt Katz did one on food safety, and he's like, the large answer is yes, it's probably food safe. Like, unless it has these chemicals in it. But in Japan, they have more of a beauty aesthetic. Like, they understand they're not going to die from a crackle glaze. I've never seen a case in America that's died from, like, crackle glaze.
Except for lead. I mean,
except for
you can get lead poisoning, but
lead is a chemical. Lead's like, don't put lead in your glazes anymore, guys.
I mean, that was lead paint.
That was a big no-no.
Fab 40s, anybody?
Right.
And they put it in our toys, and they put it in our food, and the paint. They put it in. The previous generation put it in everything.
Oh yeah, but it gets pretty colors though.
It does get pretty reds. If you really want to cheese the system, you could put a layer of it on the outside, and then put a liner glaze on the inside, and be like, well, still food safe.
Right?
Maybe.
Technically, I wouldn't do it because.
You know better.
I just wouldn't do it, I don't know. There's chemicals I stay away from because I know enough now, but...
Barium. Barium's one thing I won't put it in.
Yeah, barium doesn't... Like, even if it was food safe, it doesn't do anything for me.
No.
Like,
okay, so how do you get, like, a barium blue glaze?
I don't know.
I tried to make it, and I cannot, to the life of me, get a blue out of it.
I assume it's a heat thing, but I also assume they just put, like, a tiny bit of cobalt. And I'm like, well, cobalt makes blue anyway. It's not really a barium blue in it. It might. Having it off.
You're cheating.
You're cheating.
So much cheating.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it can make blue, but I assume it's like some reds take such a cool down cycle and sits like holds at certain temperatures, like crystal glazes, to get a real deep, rich red. That my brain's like, well, I have to fill the whole kiln, and I'm not ruining half my glazes for this one red.
Yeah.
So unless it has the ease of use of putting it in my kiln, going to cone 6 or 7, working and being done with it, I don't want to tweak this glaze at the expense of the rest of my kiln just to...
Have you gotten a really good red?
Yeah.
I cannot get a good red to save my life.
Randy's red is great, but what I've assigned myself... Granted, Randy's red changes like 4 different colors.
Okay.
But if you get it perfectly right with the perfect gravity, with the perfect layering, it's very finicky, but you can get a really good, deep earth potter's red. But I have almost assigned myself into just making a mason stain red at this point.
Is it potter's red, or is it just... It's a red? Because my wife...
It's a potter's red, not a red.
My wife is like... That is not red.
Yeah.
I don't know what's wrong with your eyes, but that is not red.
It's not, the red for potters is a different red, especially in oxidation, is a different red from
that is not purple. What is wrong with you?
Getting a bright red is difficult in an oxidation.
Yeah, unless you're using like a commercial glaze,
or you have the chemistry just right, and even the commercial glazes like
deep fabric.
Yeah, deep fabric. Yeah. It's just I'm so sure it's a mason stain. I'm like 90% sure they just got a base that was opaque and put a mason stain on it and call it a day.
Now, I do know you can get red if you use another glaze on top of a glaze.
Yes, yeah.
Because for some reason, the Amicos or Speedballs, they never change on the glaze. So you put it on there and it and it just looks like you just fucked up the glaze.
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right, well, to wrap it up, since we are still gonna go get dim sum.
I know my stomach's feeling dim sum. Right
Yeah, I'm definitely.
I did not eat this morning.
I'm definitely. Same. I had coffee and then this tea. So where would you like your business to be in 2 years?
In 2 years, well, heck, first I'd like to be successful in social media like you guys.
What does successful look like?
Bro, I haven't posted in like 3 weeks.
Yeah, I'm like, am I successful?
But your Instagram account says different.
Yeah,
I got the
yeah.
number,
Well, that's right,
but-
because you also had your account hacked, so you had a solid following, and then like lost it all. So
yeah. They disabled my Facebook account, which was connected to Instagram,
God.
and Instagram I had like over 2K followers, and now it's
Yeah.
like, well, I'm rebuilding. It's a blessing in disguise because I'm actually getting more people who are way more interested in stuff than just
You
these
get
random ass people
Clean
on there.
followers.
Yeah, so I'd like to get to where you guys are at follower wise, and I'm not saying just social media. I'm talking like in general, like people know you, people know you for your works. Do I want a YouTube channel? Probably not. I hate being on video. I'm a terrible teacher, and I'd like to have ultimately, like I said, something where my future wife doesn't have to work as hard. Mm-hmm. She can help me with my ceramics. She loves dressing up and going to conventions, so I mean that'd be the ultimate goal.
I got one of those too.
Do you?
I have a partner that likes to like be very social.
Right? You're the antisocial one.
I'm
right?
I'm
'Cause
an
the
antisocial
antisocial one.
extrovert, and she's very like she's an introvert, but she's like I want to go to a party, but I don't want to plan the party, and I don't want to invite the people, but I want all our friends to be there.
Yes.
And I want to dress up and look nice around our friends and have conversations about things we like. But I don't want to do any of the footwork to plan that shit.
No. I mean, that's stressful. That's stressful shit.
It is.
It is.
So I gotta-
So when are you gonna go to conventions? I haven't seen you at a convention since Empty Bowls.
The last one
Dude, I would
Lindsey
love
and
to
I
see
went
there.
to was in Sika. We went
Well-
to Sika, and then you also went to Sac Anime.
Yeah, but I was selling.
Yeah.
Selling at Sac Anime. So, are you planning on selling at any conventions in the?
Bro, I'm gonna try, but I really do hate getting my stuff together and then like being like, I'm ready for Sac Anime. And they're like, ooh yeah, we didn't accept you. And then I'm like, oh, that's crazy because I have 300 pieces behind me.
Right?
I guess I'll have to put all of them online. Like, and,
Yeah.
I just don't like, if I'm making that many pieces, I need someone to say you're accepted, and then I need to be given the amount of time, like 3 months, to make that body of work.
Yeah.
Do you think your Patreon and like just the amount of people that buy from your shop, do you think that's probably enough for you, or would you be able to find the time to make pieces for a convention?
I think if I was on Etsy, it'd be enough, but I'm
That's
like,
terrible.
I don't like, I'm not a fan of Etsy, but at the same time, Etsy is kind of like Google in that everyone uses it as a craft search engine.
Right.
So
Yeah.
unless unless you know about my website and you go directly to it to buy directly from me, like with Etsy, you can just be buying whatever. But with me personally, you have to know about me to go to me to buy from me.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's clearly
Yeah.
a much shorter, smaller circle than people who just search on the internet.
But I feel like if you were at a convention, people would know you.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think people would. Because when I first started at Sac Anime, people were like, oh, you got cool stuff. Like, oh man, like you're the only potter here today. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah. I was like, is Lindsey not here this time?
Yeah.
They're like, no, she's not here. I'm like, shit, that sucks.
I know we gotta get our nerdy pottery crew. Can you
Yeah.
got like all three of us at a con?
Yeah.
I'd so be down for that.
So I'm gonna do Folsom next year. Folsom Ren Fair. You should come out for Folsom. You should bring some stuff to Folsom.
I'll try, because my wife loves Ren Fairs.
And
I
come
could
out
probably
to
get her
Ren
on
Fair.
board.
And I will tell you, like, so that's half the battle, right? Is finding the convention you should go to.
Yeah.
yeah.
Folsom, you should come out to, because alone we made over 3K at Folsom.
Nice.
And that was just for the weekend. So
I'll try it out, but I'm going to have to
Yeah.
dress up.
That actually reminds me of a
dude,
question.
I bought a hat. I bought a $125 hat just for the Ren Fair.
Nice. That actually reminds me of something I wanted to ask you about earlier is like, how do you, like, since you don't do ceramics full time, how do you keep up enough inventory to go to, because you basically went to the Folsom Renaissance Fair and Sac Anime back to back.
Yeah.
How did you,
And
like,
Sinister Creature comes.
and then you have
a week
Sinister
and a half
Creature
away.
Con. Yeah. So how do you have enough inventory to do all those events?
I didn't have enough social energy to do that.
That
Well,
too.
okay,
After the
so
fifth person,
for
I'd be
those
like,
of you
oh,
that
I
can't
hate-
see this shirt, you can read my shirt.
Oh yeah, I'm not procrastinating. I'm doing side quests. I feel that.
That's
I
fair.
feel that.
That's Susan told me a long time ago. She's like, oh, you're not procrastinating. You just, I guess what happens is as an artist, you get into this mode where your creative juices don't flow until you get like right before the event.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, and then you go, oh god!
Shit, I gotta make all this stuff, and then
Yeah.
you never really ever get everything done. But you get what you can get done. You're like, oh well, fuck it. I guess this is what I have,
Yeah.
and this is what's going to the convention with me. I hope I sell it.
Yeah. How many pieces did you bring to the SAC Anime and then the Ren Fair? Folsom Ren Fair?
God, SAC Anime. I think we had probably, if I had to term it in terms of like money, we probably had about $6,000 or $7,000 worth of stuff.
Hell yeah.
We sold, like, I was afraid I was going to sell almost everything.
Wow.
And we did. We sold about 3/4 of our stuff at SAC Anime.
So, like, numbers-wise, is it like around 200, 300,
Probably,
100?
it's probably a couple hundred pieces.
Okay,
At least.
yeah.
At least 2, 3, maybe 400 pieces. Some of it was left over from old events. So we discount those if people want to buy them.
Okay.
But then, yeah, when I get into a mode to make stuff, I'll spend an entire night and I'll make a shit ton of pieces.
Yeah.
I'll leave them on the shelf. I'll let them dry, and then I'll come back to them one by one by one by one. And I know I probably commit the worst potter's foul ever, which is I wrap my stuff up and then I keep them sprayed down to keep them wet. If I can't get to them,
Well, you know.
That seems like a
that's
very
what we
I
all-
think that's like what we all do.
I did that shit this morning. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I've got like stuff wrapped up like behind me here.
It's the quality of plastic that matters. That's
Okay,
about it.
okay.
Like even in
Dollar Tree trash bags.
Yeah.
Yeah, the trash bags work fine. You spray it, just make sure the corners are tucked, the air holes are covered, and sometimes if they're hard enough, if they're like leather, whatever, I'll put a trash bag over, and then I'll put a towel over to weight the thing down, knowing that it won't mess up the rims because it's dry enough.
Right.
That's a good idea.
Okay.
And I did that this morning, and I'm gonna go trim afterwards.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give me some trim.
Oh my god.
There's dumplings. There's dim sum.
Oh yeah, that's true. All right. Well, where for our dear listeners, where can they find you? If people want to see your work.
You can find me on Instagram, Patreon in about a week. I'll
Hell
have it up.
yeah.
I just had to rework the tiers a little bit. Truth be told, stock your guys'
Oh,
Patreons to see what you guys are pricing.
I totally stalked so many people's Patrons when I was making my own that you're good. You're good.
So I don't make custom pieces, but on Patreon, I'm gonna be making custom pieces.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
But it will be an extremely high tier, and you will only get the ability to request a custom piece.
Yes.
Because I do not have the time to make custom pieces.
For
So,
sure. For
Same. After a certain amount of money, I'm like, you skip the line as far as like commissions from me, if you are a high enough tier.
Sure. Yeah.
How do you get the? Speaking of, how do you get the time to make stuff for conventions?
Oh my god.
And how do you update your shop?
Dude, I have it. I do it like 4 times a year, and if you miss the boat, you miss the boat. And
Yeah.
I'm tired of people messaging me, be like, oh, I couldn't buy anything. I'm like, oh, you should have got on it. I was telling you. You better get on it.
Yeah, for me, it takes me a few, like, I usually end up, again, like, within the last month before an event is usually when I'm able to push out the most stuff. I had about 200 pieces that I brought to SAC Anime, and probably half or maybe a little more were just cylinder pieces that were
Okay.
single dip glaze, because I was able to make those faster that month before. But I'm still working on how to make enough inventory to fit the demand that I have, which is a very good problem to have, but I'm definitely like, my business is very much limited because it is just me making everything, and each piece kind of takes a decent amount of time, even if they're the more simple designs. And I do this full time, but I also am not always great with scheduling my time, so
That's me.
sometimes I've just had bad time management, to be honest. But yeah.
Well, we're gonna bring Dante to the next round.
Yeah. We'll kidnap him.
I'm gonna get a 10 by 20 booth.
Yeah.
I'm
You
gonna.
guys can bring your stuff out, and we'll
Yeah.
set.
I'll
up
try,
shop.
but if I get socially weird, don't. You know.
That's
You should hear how we talk at the Ren Fair.
Oh, good.
Oh, it'll
We're
be great.
extremely socially weird. I think people get weirded out by us.
Well, come to the next Renaissance Fair. You'll see. You'll see us.
Folsom?
You'll see us. Yeah.
Oh, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun.
For now, though.
And if you drink, you can. There's beer. There's mead.
That's fair. I'll drink some root beer.
Dim sum.
Okay, dim sum. Lindsey's getting hungry.
Dim sum.
Dip up.
And that's it for today. Thank you for listening to The Mud Peddlers with Lindsey M Dillon.
And Dante of Earth Nation.
Want to say hi and see what Dante and I are working on in our studios? Check out the show notes for links to our websites and social media below. You can find me at lindseymdillon.com. That's LINDSEY, M as in monster, DILLON.com. and on Etsy, Instagram, and Facebook at Lindsey M Dillon.
And you can find me at Earth Nation Ceramics. It's spelled exactly how you think it's spelled, but you can also find me on my Facebook fan page and Instagram at the same name at Earth Nation Ceramics.
If you enjoyed hanging out with us today, or you have a question or topic you'd like us to discuss, take a second to rate and review the Mud Peddlers in Apple Podcasts. It helps our podcast reach new listeners, and we really appreciate the feedback. Thanks again, and we'll catch you next time.